In this lesson, we're going to continue adding detail to our front face. The main things we need to add to our front face here is we're going to add some fillets so you can really see the different panels when we're in our rendered mode. And then we're going to also add a new shape to this button. Now we do want to keep the round shape, but I do want it to bulge out just a little bit in the side view here. You can see right now it's just flush with the surface. And we want it to pop out so you can really kind of see what's going on with it. So we'll handle that first. Extract surface, which is a right click of the explode button. And that lets us just choose a surface that's part of a poly surface and extract that so it's all on its own. Now we use the line surface normal command. And what that does is it draws a line that's normal to the surface that you want to draw from. So for the start of this line, I'm actually going to make sure my center snap is on. And back here, I'm going to hover around the back edge of this shape until I get a center snap. And even though I snapped back here, it knows to draw it on this surface because I pre-selected that surface. Now for the end of the line, I could drag my cursor out and make the line any length I want. I do want a very specific length though, and the reason I want to type in a length is I need to know exactly how far out from the surface I'm going to start drawing the dome or the cross section of the dome for my button here. So I can just type a 0.5, and now you'll see it's drawn a line 0.5 millimeters off of the front surface. So at this point I don't actually need that front surface anymore, so I can just delete it. And notice this little curve is just kind of floating in space here. Now I can use my control point curve. Click once to make sure I'm in the center. I'll hold down my shift key. You can see I've accidentally added a point there. No problem. I can hit U for undo and enter. Click once to start this. Hold down my shift key and click. And the reason I'm holding down my shift key is that guarantees these 2 points are in the same plane. So now I know for sure that I'm going to get a nice tangent curve. And I do want to click over on this line. I got a nice perpendicular snap, and that tells me these lines are all lined up. So there we go. You can see I've got a very slight little arc. So now we can go to Surface, Rail Revolve, and I'll just follow the command line. Profile curve is this cross section. Rail curve is that curve right there. And the start of my revolve axis can be right there on the line. And then my end is right there. So now that's drawn a nice section for me. If I do Control-Alt-R for render, notice now that kind of pops off the front. Hide the face bez, and I'm going to join this, and I'll select the purple or main button shape first, and then I'll select this object. And I want to grab these curves just so they're not in my way, so I can delete that one. And I want to grab that little curve that's in there too. Let me just hide that. I'll bring back my face. And now when I render that, you can see that just pops out a little for us. Notice if I do kind of go around, we are getting a little shadow that shows us these shapes that we've already cut out. But as soon as that shadow is not a part of this equation, we don't see them anymore. So let's continue to add some detail here. So let's finish up this main button. And we're just going to put a fillet on the button itself and a fillet on the actual bezel. So I'm going to hide the main button for a moment. And then we use a very consistent fillet all around on the bezel. So I'm going to put a smaller fillet on the bezel and then a slightly larger one on the main button. So under my Boolean tools or my solid tools, I'm going to select variable radius fillet, which is really just the edge fillet. And I'm going to use 0.2. And I'll just click on this edge. As I said, this is a very, very small fillet. It's just meant to kind of represent a rounding over of the plastic. And I'll bring back my main button. You can see if I zoom in, we can see the edge is starting to separate now. I'll go back and I'll do another fillet edge. And this time, let me try a 0.5 and see what that looks like. May end up being too large for it, but we'll kind of get an idea. So I think that actually looks pretty good. So now it's a 0.5 fillet edge in there. And let me just switch to our rendered mode. And now you can really see that button pops off of that surface. Now I think I might also bring this button out just a little bit. And that's kind of one of the really nice things about Gumball. I can just select this, and by clicking one time and releasing on this green arrow, you see I get that dialog box. Now I can just type in a number. Now the arrow is actually facing in, so I need to type a negative number to bring this shape out. So I'm going to type a negative, and then let's try a 0.5. That way we bring it all the way out with that bezel. Again, this may be a little too far, but we'll just kind of see what it looks like. And I'll go to my render mode. I don't mind that. I think that looks okay. Again, we can always click on it and drag it back in or pull it further out. It's not locked in space or anything like that. But I think that looks kind of nice as it is for now. So the next thing, I want to actually start dealing with the fillets on the large bezel here, but I do need to deal with these little corners that we left when we made the actual curves that we did the cutting with. So I'm going to make these corners a little bit larger. I'm going to start with your larger fillets first and work down to your smaller fillets. So I know I'm going to use just a 0.2 fillet on the actual face bez itself. So I'm going to probably do like a 0.4 or something on these edges. So let me just try that, see what I get. Now I can click right through and select. And when I click that, it knows there's actually two corners under there. I do want to add a same fillet to the corners of the walkie-talkie body and to the bezel itself, so I get a nice cohesive look and everything looks like it fits together. In this instance, all I need to tell Rhino is which one to choose, and then I'm actually going to come right back in and click there again. It didn't need to ask me because there's only two pieces there and it had the first one already selected. And let me move over here, just kind of click behind here where I know those lines are. And right now it says 0.5. I don't know if that's going to work. 0.5 might be a little too large in there. Let me just change all of those. I'll do a set all, make that 0.4, and that's gone and changed all of those. And you can see it changes it really nicely and it still all fits, no big gaps or anything like that. And we'll continue to add our fillets in the next lesson.